Colors by Saira Owais Adil. Everything is colorful. Colors add wonder and invite all of us to ponder life experiences with every passing day. The blue, soothing sky, the brown in dirt, the yellow that announces a new and shiny day, green that alleviates the fatigue nerves, gray that holds mystery, pink for love and life. And so the language of colors goes on. Probably for much better shades of life did my parents decide to leave Karachi and move abroad. But from the minute that we boarded the plane, even the clouds in the blue sky kept changing shades for us. Our green passport and our nationality counted a lot. And of course, the birthplace meant a lot in all the official proceedings in our new surroundings. At school, the local children called us Baturi. That means strangers or foreigners in the local African language Hausa. In markets, every native thought us as alien and watched us in a strange manner that, of course, was very irritating. The local boys called out to tease me, my wife, thus making our lives extremely difficult and also clearly signifying that we were definitely different from them. My young mind thought how easy it was for my mom to give birth to me in her own city, and how difficult it would have been for her if I had been born years later in this foreign land. As even after living there for 10 years, a whole decade, we were still expatriates. I started valuing peace of mind from the very basic years of my life and was never comfortable in that foreign atmosphere. I heard a news story in which a plane was hijacked. It was a European plane. My young mind of merely 5 years of age related the situation in Karachi as I had heard from my dad earlier with the hijacked plane. As the newscaster read the update about the unmet cruel demands of the hijackers and how they had started throwing dead bodies of passengers from the plane, I started connecting the events with the brutal bloodshed in my city, Karachi. I remember my parents holding their breaths and wiping their tears. It was pain for the innocent lives lost, and at that time they too must have been thinking of their relatives living in a distant continent. They must have thought about the helplessness of those victims too. The next day, the teachers at school also discussed the hijacking story and asked us to write our sentiments. I wrote about the pain that I had felt, the fear that I had seen on the TV screen the previous day, and the grief along with immense terror that I had seen in the eyes of the victims' relatives. My words, I felt, had an intensity of sentiments. The teacher called me in. She wanted to know how I had managed to create such a vivid picture of emotion. I belong to a city that has been hijacked by evil too. Every day I see my parents weeping in their prayers for the betterment of the situation there and for the safety of their loved ones. Our people are mercilessly killed each day in order to meet the hijackers' heinous demands. No one could feel the grief of the relatives of those on board with more intensity than me. I am a daily victim of emotional hijacking. Then fate brought us back to Karachi once again, and this time we were here to settle down for good. It was definitely the inviting yellow sunshine that must have had shown hope to us, or the blue sea that must have had assured us about a living. Whatever it was, the decision was made. Keeping all the prevailing threats out of our minds, very soon we also got attuned to the ever changing shades of Karachi. With passing years, even I started to see the black ink of the newspaper as red drops dripping off it. The blue sea gradually seemed a complex blend of brown and grey shades. Nothing natural, everything ruined. The dwellers of my city were deprived of the basic necessities of life. Each day seemed to be adding misery to my people. The growing darkness in the city provoked my pen to protest. I wanted to lighten up the face of my dear city. The first ever article that I wrote was about colors. I urged the inhabitants of Karachi to bring artificial freshness to the city. I wanted them to paint their homes, offices, etc., in refreshing wall colors, so as to assure at least one pleasant sight for the people. I wore red to celebrate the biggest day ever of my life. The color did not remind me of any dread that I had always associated it with. It means color is seen in the light the viewer really wants to focus on. I thought, I thought of the doctor and nurses who helped me when I was in pain. No one was bothered about my ethnic background. They just helped. It was an eye opener too. I had by now learned that the brutal thorns of ethnicity could also be curbed with a pleasant and sensitive attitude. I too feared the uncertainty in the environment and remained restless until my children and husband arrived home safely each day. But with each new day, I try to focus on new resolutions in life. Though it is extremely difficult as my precious lives, my husband and children, daily join the flowing stream of the city to compete and make a place in this world. At times, I ask myself, where did I get the courage that enables me to move further, and why do I actually want to see my family living in this society? Why don't I move abroad? If other cities of Pakistan are better, why don't I move there? Am I being negligent towards the safety of my kids or careless about their future? I keep pondering for hours, but the reply that I get from within myself is trust this land. I now hold the pen to make people realize that in this city, things are not always bad. I want people to believe that the worst would only be overruled by the better in us. This faith in ourselves is the only thing which will help us move ahead. We have been and always will be mixing different shades in our society for the betterment of all. And that is what the real story of Karachi is all about.